Hi, good morning. Hi from Marianna, Wow Women of Worth, for another interesting live for Wow Voices Speak Volumes. Good morning, Daniel. How are you doing?
Hi, Marianna. Yes, I'm good this morning.
Yeah, fantastic. So, as I was announcing today, we got a new guest that is also a friend of mine. We've been speaking for the last couple of months about how important it is to have a sustainable life, of course, from a personal point of view, but also from a business point of view. And today we are going to introduce really a topic that I think deserve a lot of attention, especially for the meaningful actions, which is sustainability. So, what is Danielle, sorry, what is Danielle the purpose beyond the profit? What is the challenge nowadays of companies that need to actually have a focus more on the purpose than on profits?
Yes, thank you. It's a great question. So that's it. Lots of companies are starting to consider what is their purpose, what's the purpose of their business. Is it just to make shareholder profit, or is it to contribute to society in a wider context? Definitely not to cause damage to the environment or the social environment around them. So yeah, thinking about how they can put back rather than just be extractive in their activities.
Mm. So, and we're talking about purpose. So, definitely, I think for small companies, it's much easier to pursue the purpose because of the number of people around them. So, there is a more closer touch, a personal touch with the companies and then with the consumers. But when we're talking about bigger companies, how can we really manage to be driven by the purpose beyond the profit?
So there's a few things. I mean, we are starting to see more regulations that are driving compliant behavior to be aware of our environmental or social impacts. And the big businesses are having that effect on them because they have to comply and report on their carbon emissions, for example, alongside their financial reporting. Um, and at the moment, that is not in place for small and medium sized businesses, although they're starting to potentially get asked through the supply chain, what is your environmental impact if you are working business to business with a bigger business. So you're part of their carbon emissions and you're having to help them to answer that question that they legally have to answer. But we don't necessarily need to wait for compliance to be told to be responsible businesses. We are people as well as people in the society and community as well as business leaders. So we can potentially bring in that purposeful context into our work so that we are aware of the resources that we take. And at the moment, our economy is quite linear. So we take, make, and discard once we're finished with it. We need to incorporate some maybe more circular principles to that so that everything that is already above ground stays in use for longer. So we could be talking about taking what are our waste products now and finding more uses for those so that they stay in circulation for longer. Maybe making things that are more modular so that they can be repaired and kept functioning for longer. Maybe making things of a higher quality in the first place so that they don't break, they're not have that built-in obsolescence in them. So there's a few things there for product ones, and then there's also taking care of society and wealth distribution. At the moment, we have quite a divisive sort of economy where we have shareholders making a lot of profit out of maybe gain or the effort put in by the people lower down the system. We maybe need to look at more of a distributive model, so more cooperative employee ownership models, so that we can start to really spread that finances out and lift up those that are excluded or in poverty or struggling to function financially at the moment, and distribute that so that it's more equitable across the society. So there's two sides to it, from the environment and the social.
Yeah, I remember we were having a conversation some times ago, and I was asking you, but how is it possible nowadays? The fact that we're thinking about, when we talk about sustainability, we think that the big companies are going to have the most impact on the environment. But you were telling me, no, Marianna, also the small ones. How can then the small ones contribute to be more sustainable? Because we were thinking about the process of production. So only the big companies, they can have a big impact. But you told me that actually the small ones as well contribute to have to contribute to more sustainable environments. So how are the small companies impacting on the day-to-day operations, and how we can improve that impact?
Yeah, so I would say this is about being curious. Definitely the small and medium-sized businesses, they make up actually 99% of the economy. So a big chunk of the environmental impact is coming from those that sector of the economy. And we have brilliant opportunities to make change now. We've got lots of technology that is available to us to decarbonize our processes, to make things more efficient, which potentially could save us financial money and also environmental impact. So the simplest little action that most people can take is to go and do a survey of their light bulbs. So how simple is this? Actually go, walk around, look at what light fittings you have, and are they LED? So they are cheaper to run, so you'll actually save on your electricity bills, and they are better for the environment. Simple steps like that, through to what transport you use. And if you might not be able to afford an electric car yet, but if you have got distribution as part of your business, then maybe that is something to schedule in for your medium-term plan, to be migrating your distribution vehicles to hybrid or electric. The infrastructure is becoming more widely available, so the confidence level on using these technologies and the price of moving to that is all changing all the time. Every business is so bespoke that the changes they can make are wide-ranging, and this covers everything from the energy that you use, the way you transport people, maybe the clothing that your team wears. Can you source that from an ethical supplier, preferably someone local, someone that can take back and reuse the product after you're finished with it, or it's out of its service life. So there's so many little pockets of change that we can do, and it's about being curious. So if I do it this way just now, is that good? And if it's not good, then what could I do differently? And can I build that into the plan? We don't need to do it all today, but we maybe need to schedule some of these changes in so that it's less disruptive to our business operations.
Mm-hmm. So now that we have an overview, so about what is the theme you and area of specialization you work on. So who is Danielle really, and what do you do then?
Who do I work with? Oh, I would love to work with anybody and everybody, because this is something we can all take change on and take engagement on. It's a fascinating subject, and I take lots of people back out into nature and to reconnect, because ultimately, if you love nature and accept that we're not separate from it, we are breathing, every breath we take is a unique breath, but the air has gone for the air that you're breathing, I'm breathing, and it has been breathed by many people over all of the time. And we need to keep that clean so that it's available for people in the future generations. So nature is an amazing thing, and we can take lots of cues from nature in that it itself composts things and recycles and regenerates, and it doesn't just take and throw away. So we need to take some cues back from that natural environment and maybe compost some products that are not serving us well, and take the goodness out of that and say, okay, that's not going to serve us in the long run, but we can take the knowledge or the raw ingredients from that thing and we can make a new thing and see what emerges from it. So I love to take people back into a natural setting. So I used to work in a forest school for a while, and I love lovely Aberdeenshire here, which is really showing signs of spring, and being back in a natural setting tends to spark a different sort of set of mindset in people. And we can take those cues from nature and say, well, how would nature approach this topic? How would nature respond to overwhelming crisis? And how can they be abundant and rejuvenative in their thinking? And can we incorporate that in our business strategies? So there's a blend of being back in the natural setting to allow some thoughts that we can incorporate in our business context, which tends to be quite a positive experience for people, because actually we all quite like being out on a walk by a river or in a forest or something. It does spark some relaxation in our nervous system so that we can think differently and more calmly about the work environment. And then, of course, we can develop a strategy that helps the business implement these changes smoothly without that business disruption, and take all the stakeholders on that journey. Because although people say they don't like change, if you offered them a new phone today, they'd be quite happy to take it. So we can cope with change. We just need to manage the human reactions to it and explain to people and engage with people on it. Because if people, many of the companies, their own workforce will have great ideas that they can incorporate, and they'll say, oh yeah, I've thought about this, or I'm worried about this. And if we connect on a values level with that team, they'll be far keener to be part of the new way or the shift in strategy, rather than us saying, well, this is the way we're going to do it today. We can seek guidance from our internal and wider stakeholders, because our business isn't just us, it's the communities that are around us and the ecosystems that we touch, whether that's supply chain or customers, local community. So yeah, the ripples, the more we engage with that, and the more collaborative. Again, nature doesn't work in isolation. Everything in nature is collaborative. So the trees help the ground, the air, and so we could start thinking in that way in our business, and we'll be much more successful.
Yeah. So who is Danielle the Changinaire? Changinaire. What's this about?
I know, it's my own little made-up word. So I am an engineer. I studied yacht design and marine engineering, which I loved, and I then worked in the oil industry, so I have done a full transition myself. Loved my job in the oil industry here in Aberdeen, producing oil and gas in the North Sea and worldwide. Had a multidisciplinary team of engineers solving the challenges every day of offshore life, which was fantastic, and very, as an engineer and problem solver, was really, every day was different, and I loved it. And then, purpose, epiphany, change of direction, and really the enormity of the environmental damage was getting, raising its profile. David Attenborough himself gets more and more passionate every time he's on the program, and you start to perk up your interest now. What's happening here? How's this going to affect me? What's my leadership going to say about what I've done when I'm sitting with my grandchildren in the future and I'm thinking, what did I do for a job? So I needed to change myself. So I've relearned, and I've done leading change and environmental management to blend in with my management skills and leadership skills, and create a consultancy which helps to bridge that knowledge gap with people and make this accessible and actually affect change. Because that is what I really hope, is that I can inspire and support others to incorporate brilliant changes in their business and position to be prepared for the changing world. There's a lot happening in the environment and political world that is going to affect our businesses now. It's not a futures issue. It is really hitting us now. The cost of raw ingredients, attracting good talent, they're all interconnected with the environmental and social impacts of our businesses. So if we want to protect our businesses for the future, then there's some really great ways that can do with making our business sustainable and even regenerative in the way that we approach our strategies and our mindset to how we engage with the teams that we work with and all of the stakeholders, like I mentioned.
Yeah, because if I recall well, basically is a brand new work that you're doing in this direction, correct? So your company now is brand new in this direction, correct?
Yes, yeah. So I've gone from being freelance and working in community engagement through to having my own limited company and establishing that and working with some of the chambers of commerce to look at supporting the small and medium-sized enterprises here in Scotland. Although I do work with anybody now, because the internet is an amazing way of connecting us. And helping them to develop action plans, break it down into simpler steps that they can get some momentum on and feel like they are taking action. And really, depending on what the nature of their business is, how big or ambitious they can be about approaching this challenge. And it's been really positive experience so far. And working with leaders that are looking to position themselves in their industry as the thought leaders and the leaders that are making changes, because this is something that's going to affect us. And we could wait for compliance in some contexts, but that makes us followers, not leaders, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So how do you help then these leaders? What would you offer with your service?
Well, I think I've kind of developed my own unique way of doing things. So I'm trying to be authentic in that I bring my own voice to this. I have experienced the transition from one career into something different. There is an element of upskilling with what I've done, because we can't all be experts in this. So I have some workshop tools that I help with businesses to do. So we've got a workshop on understanding what climate change even is, or carbon emissions. We know some numbers in our world, like if we wanted to lose weight or go and buy clothes in the shop, we know that if we go to the rail, we can pick up a size, 10, 12, 14. We know what that is. We know that it will fit us or not. We know if we go to the shop that we can buy some food and how many calories that's going to put into our body and whether that's going to make us gain weight, lose weight. So these are normalized. But at the moment, we don't have very much information about carbon. So if we want to reduce our carbon emissions and reduce our impact on the planet, then we need to learn a bit about carbon. So I've got a game for that that some colleagues developed in Scotland. And this just makes it a fun way to start to learn some new topics that can inform our business decisions. So that's kind of tools we do, and also taking people out into a natural setting so that we can spark some meaningful, constructive conversations about how we can do things differently.
So here we're talking about the theme of at WOW Festival is authenticity, and I'm very fascinated about the work you're doing, because authenticity is a way how you come across in a way that is true to your essence, and how important is the fact that companies have to, from an ethical point of view, but beyond the being ethical, is about responsibility, being sustainable. My question to you is, what do you think? How this approach in being sustainable, so trying to make sure that there is the care of the environment. What is the line between being sustainable and authentic? My question is basically, are we going to lose out our authenticity while we try to comply in a way that to make sure that the world is sustainable? I don't know if it makes sense. Question.
Yeah, so I think I know where you're going. So actually, I even go beyond sustainable to regenerative. So regenerative is about being planet positive, and I'm putting back in rather than being extractive. And it really boils down to values, doesn't it? So my authentic values are to be a bit bold and courageous. So I'm a bit eccentric, maybe even, and that's. I would play games. I would be ambitious. I would hope to inspire and lead. So that, I think, is my authentic way of portraying those values. And I convey that in that I'm an entrepreneur. I've started my own company, and I hope to inspire other thought leaders and business leaders that want to show up in that way and be bold and take action. So that value of courage is really important to me, and how I show up authentically, and a bit fun. Life's very short. We have to embark on things in a fun way. That's why I'm incorporating some games and some optimism in what how I like to work with topics, because the world is experiencing lots of crises and quite serious situations. So that can be overwhelming for people when we start talking about that. So if we do it in a fun way and break it down, make it obvious actually that there is some common ground with people, and that we are all trying to live happy, successful lives, even thriving rather than just surviving, then we could be working together on that. And then you start to find common pockets of that culture and values in people. And there is lots of people that are working in that direction. We just need to connect the dots. And at the moment, I feel like our community and society is a bit fractured. So starting to realize other people are worried about this and that they are taking action is really empowering, and it starts to perpetuate motion in the right direction. So there is a big movement in the UK and worldwide called the B Corp movement. So lots of other leaders that are incorporating purpose even in their articles of business, and they're accredited against the scoring system. So yeah, if you're really ambitious, then that would be a way of showing that and being validated against it. But even knowing that there's more companies out there that are trying to do the same thing as you, then it helps, doesn't it, to go, oh, I'm on the right track here. And there is an authenticity in doing it in your own way. And each company has ways of showing up to do that. And how, whether they're a local business, that might mean that they want to really make a stamp on their local community. So invest in charities that are local to them, or do their staff training local. Maybe it involves tree planting days, maybe it involves community allotment that they can support, and they could use that in line with their staff development or team building. So yeah, it's looking at each opportunity uniquely and saying, well, this is how we could do that for your business and for your team. Yeah, hopefully that
I like it. So basically, you mean you can combine being sustainable, so towards the environment, but in the meantime, you can express in your way your own authenticity. Even is the common goal to be sustainable, but in the meantime, you can express in your authentic way. That's correct?
Yeah, totally.
What is then the challenge of your target audience? So what do you mean, what do you think is the main struggle to be more sustainable? Is internal operations? Is the awareness around it? What is the really challenge that they are suffering?
I think it's a few things for businesses. Everyone's under a lot of financial pressure now. Cost of many raw ingredients and energy is high. Possibly concerned about clarity on the direction that the country is taking with some of these net zero targets or political policy setting. So they're not wanting to make commitments because they don't know whether that's the right way to go. But probably in their heart of hearts, they know that it's something that should be on their to-do list. So it's just raising the priority of that and opening up that actually this could really help, because it could position you ahead of your competitors. It could help make you attractive to your your customers. A lot of people are making more ethically and socially astute sort of decision making in their consumption, and it definitely will help with attracting workforce. So a few of the blockers that are reasons why people don't get to this on their to-do list actually could be alleviated by making a start on it. And yeah, I think awareness, it's like any new skill set. We have to, add it to the things that are a priority for us. But maybe they don't see necessarily on the surface that actually investing in this piece of knowledge and taking action could help with many of the other parts of their business that might be weighing them down just now.
Mm-hmm. So you are going to be part of Wow Festival, the spring edition, the Sprint into Action. Actually, it's going to be your day, 24th of May. So take notes for who is following us. You have the chance to see Danielle on 24th of May in London at St. Pancras. More details will follow. Definitely is an occasion to show from the brand awareness, the awareness of the topic into the action, how you can actually be able to take action in a practical way. That's going to be an opportunity for you guys to come along and see what Danielle is talking about. But can you give a little bit of a taster of what you're going to do during your workshop?
Yeah, well, I guess I kind of mentioned it before. We'll play a game. So yeah, it's going to be fun and interactive, and people will definitely learn something. I'm really keen to spark some conversations about how we can take action, because anybody can be experiencing eco anxiety, which is an inward thing, or overwhelm at the number of things that are to be done. And actually actions outward. It's so much better when people realize, oh, that's the thing I can do. I can start doing this thing and feel like I'm contributing to making a change. So yeah, we will definitely talk about some easy steps that are, dependent on your bespoke company, things you can get started at, and do things that, are about sparking your curiosity, because we all go through the world and maybe don't stop and think, oh, how did this product get here, or how did that situation arise? So yeah, sparking some curiosity with people and allowing them to see some simple actions that they can start taking. That's what I want to bring to the Wow. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Me too, because it's actually something very technical, but in the meantime, that the small businesses we lose from our focus. So I think it's very important to bring attention to these topics, because we're talking about marketing here, and marketing, of course, has got a lot of responsibilities in terms of impact on the environment. So that's why I'm very happy to have you in our panels to make sure that when we talk about marketing, also the way how we do marketing has got an impact on the environment. So definitely, if we are conscious, responsible leaders that they want to have an impact, they have to have an impact in a positive way, not in a negative way, especially on the environment.
Yeah, sure. And that's it. Some products we know now, whether it's in hindsight or as we knew about it up front, some products are just not good for the environment. And we have marketed them so far, and it gets to a point, isn't it, where we have to decide, is that product just getting composted out, where we don't think that's a good thing to make anymore and to sell and put out into the world. And in which case, let's learn from that and not do that again. Let's not make lots of things out of plastic that is very damaging to the environment and ends up in the ocean. So we have done, that example of plastic bags, and then we've learned actually that was not the best product, and we could make heavier duty bag, lasts longer, we can take it back, we can recycle that, there's or we can move to canvas bags, so there's learnings there. And that's the same with many products and services that we need to maybe consider, is that the right thing to do? And then how do we market that? And how do we market it so that it's attractive to people? At the moment, like you said, there's some people are not embarking on sustainability because it's maybe not attractive to them. But this has marketing could help with that, and it could say, well, actually, this is a fantastic opportunity. We've got an opportunity to make Britain great as a manufacturer and knowledge base of some fantastic subjects that can really help our communities and societies to build strong futures that are within the planet's acceptable boundaries, and help lift up people in society that are currently struggling there. So we can make our businesses purposeful as well as profitable. We can do good while doing well. There's lots of things here we can do, and we can market that to as many people as we can.
Yeah, the problem that I see most of the times is, unfortunately, the products, when they are no good for the environment or the materials that is going to be used could be affect negatively our health and everything. But I don't understand why it's coming out always later, so along the line. What I mean by this is that maybe the government should be also more present to know before you launch a product, to know what is made of, what is the impact, because that is too late sometimes. And most of the time is happening that they have produced all these products that are very bad for the nature, for the environment, and then for the health of the consumers, but we find out only later. That means that there is already the production in place. There are so much products have been produced, and then people is no longer buying it. Even this is crazy and not sustainable anymore. So I think the government should be, before doing the investigations afterwards, they should do before the process of manufacturing stuff. I don't know if you have an example you want to share on this.
Yeah, so there is life cycle assessment now of products. So looking at the whole life cycle of how a product, the impact or environmental and social impact of that product, and that will become more and more prevalent in our production and manufacturing systems as legislation kicks in. So we've got extended producer responsibility, so that like I was talking about, modular making of items like a mobile phone, that it will have to be designed so that it can be dismantled, the battery or the components replaced. There is examples of businesses that do that already, and they are positioning, because they've thought this through. They've gone, oh, right, we don't necessarily need to throw the phone away. We don't need to build in that obsolescence. We can make this so that it can be updated, and when it's no good, we can break it apart and we can take the raw ingredients and make something again. Because especially in the electrical equipment category, there's lots of nasty chemicals and rare earth metals in there. So we want to make sure that we keep those from going into the waste stream, and that we keep them available to make new things from. So yeah, there is lots in product design around how forethought is going into making that better and less damaging or impactful right from the start. But of course, there's consumer angle, and there's showing an interest in what you buy and buying things and being curious about what is it that you are buying. Do you really need it, for one thing? Can you buy it from a repurposed, remakery type source rather than from new? Can you buy it locally? Is it seasonal? There's lots of questions to ask yourself. Can I do this a different way to how I did it last time? And yeah, start to really challenge and be curious about the consumption that we are all doing as part of our individual lives and our business activities. So yeah, there's two sides. There's the producer and the consumer side, isn't there?
Absolutely, and I think this is the time also to shake up the consciousness of conscious. So you say conscious of the entrepreneurs that they want to launch a new product on the market. So before they do anything, they should actually think: is this for good for the consumers, good for the environment before they are launching? Because otherwise, we're ending up to have a bunch of products, rubbish really, that we are overwhelming the environment with all these toxic products. That is absolutely crazy, because it's not only bad in the producing it, but actually when we have to get rid of that in terms of waste, the waste that if they are not on the market, they have to be thrown away somewhere, and still is impacting the environment, because we think that the waste is a place somewhere in the cloud, or the waste is on this planet. So that means still it's going to affect our world and
Yeah.
our planet. So
Oh, totally. So, yeah, one little personal recommendation there is to watch a film called Buy Now, Netflix movie documentary, and yeah, really just gives you a bit of a jolt as to our consumerist behaviour. And yeah, there's a different way, isn't there? This has all crept up on us quite quickly, and there is a different way, and we just need to open our eyes, be curious to it, and think, well, do I need the thing? Can I make a different thing? Can I promote and market? You know, maybe we want to be careful about who we select to work with, because if it doesn't align with our values and culture in our organization, then maybe we need to compass that customer, you know, potentially, and position for what is good for us as people and species. The world will keep on turning, but we need. I'd like that the human species is carrying on and even thriving. So we need to change our actions in a lot of ways to make that happen.
absolutely. The point is that, okay, the consumer behavior, but if there are the companies like buy now, so from a marketing point of view, pushing to buy, and repetitive buy, of course, the consumer behavior is going to be pushed by these alerts that are given to us to not miss the opportunity, buy now. And that means that everything we are going to do is more than what we need. And that's why I was saying, I think is the conscious of the leaders, the conscious of the big companies, because they are the ones that are going to push on the consumer behavior, are the ones that they have really the responsibility to make sure that the consumer are buying the right things. So if they push for something bad, the consumer maybe doesn't know really what if it's good or bad. But I agree with you. Now there are a lot of consumers are very responsible, especially reading the food. For example, what I hear about the food industry is something disgusting, what we eat. And nobody really is helping us to, they tell us about the guidance, read the ingredients and everything. But sometimes we buy because we're in the rush. We are not really that careful to read through all the ingredients. And that, again, basically, we trust the big companies, and then we find out that what we're eating is very bad for our health. So I think the leaders, the companies, has to change, as you said, from profit to purpose. That is really the key, because otherwise we are not going too far in this world. And I was saying again this morning, a guy that works in fashion industry in Italy, and seeing all these clothes burned, because at the end of the day, what is not going to be sold is going to be burned. Can you imagine how toxic is this for our planet? And what means that it goes into the soil. The soil, there is the food, the vegetables that we grow. The animals are eating the vegetables from there. so all the cycle is really, really toxic. So it is scary. The scenario for the future is not promising, but I think that is now the time for sure the consumer behavior, so we can make decision, but the main responsibility are the leaders, as you say. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I really appreciate what you're doing with your work, making sure that leaders are adopting a more regenerative approach when it comes to produce their stuff. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Well, I would just draw attention to my little logo here behind me. So my little leaves are a bit like the Sustainable Development Goals. So the Sustainable Development Goals, for people that are unfamiliar, they are a set of 17 goals that were set by a big community consultation and developed by the United Nations. And they are just a framework for us to be guided by, I guess. And this isn't anything crazy. This is access to clean water, access to education, responsible production and consumption. So there's 17 goals in total, and those are a few of them. But it's not anything like big and crazy. This is just living by good principles, isn't it? And making sure that everyone is able to access that. So one of their little mottos is that no one is left behind. And that's a good way to approach our business, that we don't leave people behind and we just are living within sort of sensible boundaries in the way that we conduct our lives. So I hope that people have listened to that and thought, well, yeah, okay, maybe that is a little framework that I could just being curious about and see how it might affect how I do my business. Come along to the workshop, engage, find me on LinkedIn, just be curious about what this means for your business or your personal life. And start taking action, be interested.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much, Danielle. So where they find you on LinkedIn? What is your handle?
So I'm Danielle Dale and The Changineer Limited, and just definitely reach out. I've got events here in Scotland, and I will be down in London in May. And available on the internet, like a connector of us, isn't it? The internet's an amazing thing. So very happy and keen to talk with others that are interested in being curious about this subject and think, well, how does that relate to me and what could I do about it? And looking forward to thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you here in this forum, and really looking forward to being part of WOW in May.
Fantastic. So I'll see you in May, and we are going to meet soon again. And thank you to everybody for watching us. I will send, I will put in the chat box here in the comments down below the links to Danielle for whom wants to be in touch with her and make a change right away. So thank you again, Danielle, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.